purchase necessary.
Be sure to watch Jeopardy tonight at 7 on Fox 45.
The Ford Free Ride Sales Event is here for Labor Day. Every 2015 Ford has 0% financing for 72 months for qualified buyers, so you're free from interest. Plus $1,000 Labor Day bonus cash on cars and SUVs. Hurry, ends September 8th.
Your local forecast on the 5s on Weather Nation, brought to you by Home Comfort Solutions from LG.
Tensions remain high as the first motions are set to be heard in the Freddie Gray trial tomorrow. Here now to break down the possible outcomes this week is attorney Jeremy Eldridge with EN Lawyers. Thank you so much for coming in.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is the story. I mean, the police presence is already heightened all around circuit court. Courtroom 234, I believe, is the name that's being referred to as. And we're talking about a judge. It all comes down to one judge. Circuit Judge Barry Williams is a judge in this. There's a lot of questions, though. Will this be dismissed is the first one.
I'm not so sure whether the case is going to be dismissed, obviously. I think the biggest indication we have thus far is the fact that Judge Williams denied the defense attorney's subpoenas asking for members of the state's attorney's office, investigators, and police officers to be brought in as witnesses and give testimony. So I think that that's the biggest indication that the judge is likely going to deny that motion. That being said, it'll be interesting to see how the defense attorneys handle tomorrow's motion. I'm sure they'll be doing what are called proffers, which mean telling the judge and making a record for appellate purposes if they lose that motion about what information would have been provided through that testimony.
Are we going to see 6 different trials here, do you think, or do you think we're going to see some separate when they separate out all the officers involved?
Well, you have to remember, one of the biggest issues here is what evidence could be used. For instance, if one of the officers gave a statement, did that statement implicate another officer? And issues like that are what help decide whether these officers could be tried together separately. That being said, the defense attorneys want to ensure that they have a fair trial. The court wants to ensure that these individuals receive a fair trial. So that you really have to sift through the evidence, and that should give the court some sort of inclination about how that matter is going to be handled. But at this point, if I'm the defense attorney and I'm looking at this, I'm likely looking for separate trials.
And there's no way tomorrow, though, that some of the officers would be dismissed from their charges. It's all or nothing at this point. Is that correct?
I mean, is it a mathematical certainty that it's not going to be dismissed? Of course not. That being said, at this stage and having read the motions, I think the bigger issue is how the judge responds to the publicity regarding Mosby's administration, how they've handled this in the news. So it may not remedy in a dismissal, but it may be remedied in other ways.
And speaking on Mosby's way in the media, I guess the way that she's looking in the media, will there be a recusal of her office?
Well, I don't think the interview this past week helped when she stand firm in saying that it's my job to give justice. I mean, the entire issue that the defense attorneys have raised here is that from the very inception of this case, with the national publication of her saying, well, I want justice and I'm asking you to quell the violence, Doug Gansler got slapped by the Attorney Grievance Commission for it, and I understand the positive outlook that a state's attorney would be using in this sense, but really it endangers the case. It really does endanger the fair trial that these officers are seeking.
And Judge Williams is going to set the tone, you think, though, this week with this?
I think he's already set the tone in his prior order, telling both sides to not release information and telling the state's attorney that their motion wasn't warranted in attacking the defense attorneys.
Jeremy Eldridge with EN Lawyers, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
That. Coming up, a Maryland panel is set to discuss police body camera recommendations. Which departments would be affected by that new policy? 7:29 is your time.
There's nothing bigger than Fred Savage in a new comedy. Or is there? Rob Lowe and Fred Savage, The Grinder.
Premieres September 29th on Fox 45.
Our Labor Day sale starts now. Get